Geobyte.
Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the Geobyte. In this video, let us discuss the solutions for previous ESET exam problems for the subject refrigeration and air conditioning. Dear friends, all these problems are equally important. Therefore, please watch till the last problem. After listening all these problems, you practice with pen and paper. If you find any doubt while you are practicing, you please send all your doubts to the Geobyte. Definitely, I will answer all your doubts. Let us take the very first problem, which is given in 1991. When the relative humidity of atmospheric air is 100%, the dew point temperature is. Dear friends, remember, relative humidity is 100% only for saturated air. For saturated air, relative humidity equal to 100%. The degree of saturation mu equal to 1, and dry bulb temperature is equal to wet bulb temperature is equal to dew point temperature. So these are the conditions for saturated air. Look at the answers. Once again, let me read the problem. When the relative humidity of the atmospheric air is 100%, means air is saturated. The dew point temperature, option A, is very high, no. Option B, more than wet bulb temperature, no. Option C, equal to wet bulb temperature, absolutely correct. The dew point temperature, wet bulb temperature and dry bulb temperature, these three are identical for saturated air is maintaining 100% relative humidity. I hope you got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the second problem. An air conditioned space has a sensible heat load 17 kilowatts. Sensible heat load is given 17 kilowatts and latent heat load is 11 kilowatts. Latent heat load equal to 11 kilowatts. The sensible heat factor is, you are asked to decide the sensible heat factor. As you know, sensible heat factor equal to sensible heat by sensible heat plus latent heat. Here sensible heat is 17 divided by 17 plus 11 equal to 17 by 28. Look at the option B. Option B is absolutely correct. Option B is 17 by 28. Option A is given 28 by 17, which is greater than 1. Remember, sensible heat factor always less than 1. Sensible heat factor, this is very important point. Sensible heat factor always less than 1. I hope you got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the third problem. The following property is important for a good refrigerant. Dear friends, remember, the properties of ideal refrigerants are mainly divided into two categories: high and low. Under high, the refrigerant must be maintaining the refrigerant must be maintaining high saturation temperature, high saturation temperature. Remember these points. High latent heat, high latent heat, high thermal conductivity, high thermal conductivity, and the refrigerant must be maintaining high electric insulation, high electric insulation. Now come to the characteristics under low. Refrigerant must be maintaining low boiling point, low boiling point. Refrigerant must be maintaining low freezing point. Refrigerant must be maintaining low specific heat. Refrigerant must be maintaining low viscosity, low viscosity. Refrigerant must be maintaining low specific volume, low specific volume. So these are the desirable characteristics of an ideal refrigerant. Look at the given options. High boiling point. Refrigerant must be maintaining low boiling point. It is given high, therefore first one is not correct. High latent heat. Yes, refrigerant must be maintaining high latent heat, therefore option B is absolutely correct. I hope all of you understood. You please go through this information. This is the 5-star information. Means very important information. Most important information. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 4th problem. Refrigerant number R744 means it is asked in 2011. Dear friends, remember inorganic refrigerants. Inorganic refrigerants. Inorganic refrigerants are kept in 700 series. 700 series. Example for inorganic refrigerants: ammonia, water, air, carbon dioxide, SO2. These are all coming under inorganic refrigerants. Here ammonia, ammonia molecular weight is, molecular weight of ammonia 17. Water molecular weight of water H2O 18. Air molecular weight is 29 approximately. Carbon dioxide molecular weight is 44. SO2 molecular weight is 64. Then ammonia is represented like this: R7. Since ammonia is inorganic kind of refrigerant, it is kept in 700 series, followed by the the remaining two digits are its molecular weight 717. Water R718. The last two digits indicate the molecular weight. Air is represented by R729, R744, R764. Let me write that point. The last two digits indicate the molecular weight of that refrigerant. Indicate the molecular weight of refrigerant. Molecular weight of that refrigerant. Now look at the given representation R744 for carbon dioxide. Therefore, option A itself is absolutely correct. Whereas ammonia R717, sulfur dioxide R764. Methyl chloride is not coming under the inorganic compound. Methyl chloride may be hydrocarbon kind of refrigerant. I hope you got my point. Let me write one more point. The azeotropes are kept in 500 series. Azeotropes are kept in 500 series. Azeotropes are mixtures of two or more halocarbons. Azeotropes are mixtures of two or more halocarbons. So here halocarbons are R10, R11, R12, R21, R22, etc. These are all coming under halocarbons. I hope you got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the fifth problem. Which of the following is highly toxic? Option A, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, R12. Dear friends, remember, carbon dioxide is non-toxic. R12 also non-toxic. Ammonia is highly toxic. Sulfur dioxide is extremely toxic. Now you can decide what is the answer for the given problem. Which of the following is highly toxic? Among the ammonia and sulfur dioxide, you can select option B. Of course, ammonia also toxic, but comparatively sulfur dioxide is maintaining more toxic in nature with respect to ammonia. That's why I have selected option B. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the sixth problem. The fluids used in Electrolux refrigerator are. Dear friends, remember, Electrolux refrigerator is a kind of vapor absorption refrigeration system. For Electrolux refrigeration system, we are using the three fluids, namely ammonia, water, water and hydrogen. That's why Electrolux vapor absorption refrigeration system can also be called as 3-fluid vapor absorption refrigeration system. Now, the ammonia is used as a refrigerant. Ammonia is used as a refrigerant. Water is used as absorbent. And hydrogen is the circulating agent. Hydrogen is the circulating agent. So I hope you got my point. Look at the option C, ammonia, water and hydrogen. Therefore option C is absolutely correct. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 7th problem. The wet bulb depression is 0 when relative humidity is equal to. Dear friends, remember here wet bulb, otherwise 1 minute. Wet bulb depression means difference between the dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature. Difference between the dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature is called wet bulb depression. Remember, for a saturated air, relative humidity equal to 100% and degree of saturation denoted by mu equal to 1, and the dBT is equal to WBT is equal to dPT. Since these three temperatures are identical for saturated air, which is maintaining 100% relative humidity, wet bulb depression equal to 0. Wet bulb depression equal to 0, because wet bulb depression is the difference between the dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature. Therefore, the option D is absolutely correct. When the relative humidity is 100%, it is equal to 1. That wet bulb depression is 0. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 8th problem. The process of adding heat to moist air. Here moist air means atmospheric air. At the same humidity ratio is known as sensible heating. Absolutely correct. The method of adding the water particles to the atmospheric air at constant specific humidity is called sensible heating. That sensible heating in the psychrometric chart can be represented like this. Psychrometric chart. So this is the saturated curve. Dry bulb temperature on the x coordinate and the specific humidity is also called humidity ratio on the y coordinate. The sensible heating is represented like this. This is the representation of sensible heating. 1 to 2 is the sensible heating process. During the sensible heating process, in sensible heating, specific humidity remains constant, dew point temperature also remaining constant. It means as long as the specific humidity constant, dew point temperature also remaining constant, because the horizontal line in the psychrometric chart is giving the two values like this. From the left end you can take the dPT, from the right end you can take the specific humidity. W is for specific humidity. Anyhow, the method of adding the water vapor to the atmospheric air at constant specific humidity or at constant dew point temperature is called sensible heating. I hope you got my point. Let's take the next problem. Look at the ninth problem. If the relative humidity of atmosphere is equal to 1, then the rate of evaporation of surface water will be 0. A relative humidity 1 or 100% means the air is saturated. Only for saturated air, relative humidity is becoming 1. Since the saturated air cannot absorb any water particles, therefore the water from the water source cannot be evaporated when the saturated air is available in that particular region. Anyhow, the saturated air cannot absorb any water particles. I hope you got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the 10th problem. In air conditioning, the mixture of 2 or more streams of moisture air follows. Dear friends, remember, in case of large AC units, generally air is recirculated and a part of the air is taken from atmosphere as a fresh air. The recirculated air and fresh air are mixed in the plant location. It is like this. It may be like this. Let this is the recirculated air passage and this is another passage for a fresh air. Both materials are mixed somewhere at this location. Here fresh air is entering here. Fresh air is entering and this is the recirculated air. Recirculated air. Here fresh air may be entering at atmospheric temperature, but recirculated air is entering at low temperature. For avoiding the heat transfer from the system to surroundings, generally it is perfectly insulated. Therefore, the heat transfer from system to surroundings is 0. Once the heat transfer is 0 for a mixing process, that mixing process you can call as the adiabatic process. Adiabatic process. It is like this. This is representing the insulation. This is the insulated pipe. Insulated pipe. Insulated pipe. This may be the section 1, section 2, section 3. Mass of the recirculated air may be m1. Fresh air mass may be m2. Recirculated mass m3. This m3 equal to m1 plus m2. m1 plus m2. Anyhow, the method of mixing the recirculated air and fresh air is happened adiabatically. Therefore, the process is coming under adiabatic process. Look at the options. Very first option. Look at the very first option, adiabatic process. Absolutely correct. Now, if I take the analysis, let H1 be the enthalpy of the recirculated air, H2 be the enthalpy of the fresh air, H3 be the enthalpy of the mixture. For finding the H3, you take the energy balance equation, M1H1 plus M2H2 must be equal to M3H3. From this you can decide the H3. H3 equal to M1, M1H1. M1H1 plus M2H2 divided by M3. But what is the M3? M3 equal to M1 plus M2. In the similar manner, W1 be the specific humidity of the recirculated air, W2 be the specific humidity of the fresh air, W3 be the specific humidity of the mixture, then the specific humidity of the mixture W3 equal to M1 W1 plus M2 W2 divided by M1 plus M2. The same manner you can find the T3 also. T1 be the temperature of the recirculated air, T2 be the temperature of the fresh air, T3 be the temperature of the mixture. These three temperatures are dry bulb temperatures. Therefore, dry bulb temperature of the mixture equal to M1 T1 plus M2 T2 divided by M1 plus M2. I hope you clearly got the information. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 11th problem. During the throttling process in an expansion valve of a refrigerator. Dear friends, remember, throttling process is the irreversible adiabatic process. Throttling process is an irreversible adiabatic process. Adiabatic process. In the throttling process main function is to drop the pressure. The main intention of throttling process is to drop the pressure. One more important point, the pressure is dropping in the throttling device because of the friction. That means in the throttling process, frictional pressure drop is happening, or pressure drop is happening due to friction. Pressure drop is taking place due to friction. Remember, in the throttling process, since enthalpy remains constant, the throttling process is also called isenthalpic process. The throttling process can also be called as isenthalpic process. So anyhow, in the throttling process, conclusions. In the throttling process, very important information, enthalpy remains constant. Pressure drop takes place. Entropy increases. In general, temperature also dropping. So these are the effects of throttling process. Here pressure and temperature are dropping, entropy is going to increase at constant enthalpy in the throttling process. Look at the options. Let me read the problem once again. During the throttling process in an expansion valve of a refrigerator, option A, enthalpy remains constant but pressure decreases. Absolutely correct. Option A itself is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the 12th problem. The pressure lines in the wet region of Mollier chart are straight because Mollier diagram means HS diagram. The HS diagram is looking like this: enthalpy versus entropy diagram. Enthalpy versus entropy diagram. This is the Mollier diagram or HS diagram. Mollier diagram or Mollier chart. If you take the saturated curve, this is the saturated vapor curve. 1 minute. The saturated vapor curve is looking like this. This is the critical point. If you look the constant pressure lines, the constant pressure line is a straight line within the saturation region, bending upwards in the superheated region. One more constant pressure line is a straight line within the saturation region, bending upwards in the superheated region. This may be the P1 equal to 1 bar. This may be P2 equal to, let it be some 20 bar. If the question is why the constant pressure lines are straight lines, why the constant pressure lines are straight lines in the saturation region, the reason is like this. As you know, enthalpy H equal to U plus PV, general formula. Then dH equal to du plus PdV plus VdP. dH equal to, here du plus PdV equal to del Q plus VdP. For a constant pressure line, constant pressure line means P remains constant. If P is constant, differentiation of constant is 0. Therefore, this dP is becoming 0. Then dH equal to what? dH equal to del Q. You know ds equal to del Q by T. From this del Q can be written as TdS. Del Q can be written as TdS. This del Q equal to TdS. Therefore, dH equal to TdS. dH by ds for the constant pressure line equal to T. Remember the quantity, let me write that point. The quantity dH by ds at constant pressure is the slope of constant pressure line with HS coordinate system, with enthalpy versus entropy coordinate system or diagram. It is equal to what? dH by ds at constant pressure equal to T. Since temperature remains constant in the saturation region, you know this is the saturation region. Saturation region. In the saturation region, since temperature remains constant in the saturation region, since temperature remains constant, this temperature remains constant in the saturation region. The constant pressure line is pressure line is, the constant pressure line is a straight line, is a straight line in the saturation region, in the saturation region. But remember, the same constant pressure line is bending upwards in the superheated region, because temperature is not constant in the superheated region. This is the superheated region. Since temperature is changing in the superheated region, the constant pressure line is bending upwards in the superheated region. Though the constant pressure line is bending upwards in the superheated region, the slope is remaining positive. The slope positive means as the enthalpy increases, entropy also increases. Let me write that point also. The pressure line is bending upwards in the superheated region. But the slope is positive. Slope is positive means as the enthalpy increases, entropy also increases. I hope you clearly got the information. I try to provide the complete information regarding the Molear diagram. Anyhow, the answer is, let me read the problem once again. The pressure lines in the wet region of Molear chart are straight lines because pressure remains constant. That is not the reason. Volume remains constant? No. Temperature remains constant is the reason. Since temperature remains constant in the saturation region, the pressure line is a straight line in the pressure line is the straight line in the saturation region. I hope you got my point. This is very important problem. That's why let me mark as a 5-star problem. 5-star problem means the most expected problem. In the competitive exam. Let's go for the next problem. Look at the 13th problem. The cooling system used for supersonic aircrafts and rockets. For supersonic aircrafts and rockets, generally we are going for regenerative air cooling system. Therefore, option D is correct. This bootstrap air refrigeration system can be selected for the flights or subsonic flights. I can write, let me write it clearly, subsonic flights. For subsonic flights. Subsonic flights means the flights which are flying with a speed less than sound velocity. But for rockets, generally we are preferring the regenerative air cooling system. Rockets are generally maintaining the supersonic velocity, Mach number greater than 1. Here Mach number means Mach number m equal to flight velocity by the sound velocity. So anyhow, for the supersonic aircrafts and rocket motors, Mach number always greater than 1. For that kind of system, For cooling, we are using the regenerative type air cooling system. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 14th problem. In lithium bromide water absorption refrigeration system, the refrigerants used respectively are. Dear friends, remember, in lithium bromide vapor absorption system, water is used as refrigerant, lithium bromide is used as absorbent. So this water is the refrigerant, and lithium bromide is the absorbent for lithium bromide vapor absorption refrigeration system. Whereas for other refrigeration system like simple VAR system, Electrolux VAR system, ammonia is used as refrigerant, water is used as absorbent. Now come to the problem once again. In lithium bromide water absorption refrigeration system, the refrigerants are respectively water. Yes, water is the refrigerant, lithium bromide is the absorbent. For lithium bromide vapor absorption refrigeration system, therefore you can select option B. I hope you got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the 15th problem. The formation of frost on cooling coil in a refrigerator. Here frost means, dear friends, in our cabin space of refrigerator, particularly in the deep freeze region, you can find some ice particles. Let the coil for carrying the refrigerant. Refrigerant is flowing through the coil. Then some ice particles may be formed on the surface of the coil like this. Those ice particles which are formed on the surface of the coil, evaporator coil, is called as frost. Dear friends, remember that frost is acting as insulator, or frost is minimizing the heat transfer. Frost is decreasing the heat transfer. Once the heat transfer is decreasing, the cooling rate is decreasing. That means the cooling effect or refrigeration effect is decreasing. Once the refrigeration effect is decreasing or heat transfer is decreasing, for maintaining the required temperature, COP equal to what? Refrigeration effect by power consumption. From this, the power consumption equal to, when the refrigeration effect is decreasing, COP decreasing. For maintaining the low temperature or required temperature, the power consumption is going to increase. To maintain the same required temperature, because of the decrease in heat transfer by frost mechanism, the power consumed by the refrigerator increases. Look at the option B. Let me read the problem once again. The formation of frost on a cooling coil in the refrigerator increases COP. No, it is decreasing COP. Increases the power consumption. Absolutely correct. Power consumption is going to increase. Increase heat transfer. No, decrease the heat transfer. Reduce the power consumption, also not correct. Anyhow, option B is absolutely correct. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 16th problem. The effect of increase of evaporator pressure on COP of the vapor compression refrigeration system. It is like this. Let us take the pH coordinate system, pressure versus enthalpy coordinate system. The saturation dome may be looking like this. The geometric shape of the saturation curve changing from one kind of coordinate to another kind of coordinate. This may be the evaporator pressure. This may be the condenser pressure. For ideal refrigeration system, the compression starts on the saturation curve. 1 to 2 is a kind of compression. 2 to 3 condensation. 2 to 3 condensation. 3 to 4 throttling process. 4 to 1 evaporation. So for this case, the enthalpy limits are H1 be the enthalpy at state 1, H4 equal to H3, enthalpy at state 4. Now refrigeration effect equal to, refrigeration effect equal to H1 minus H3 or H4. Work required for compression. The enthalpy after compression. Work required for compression is H2 minus H1. The COP equal to refrigeration effect by work required for compression. But what he is asking, if the evaporator pressure is increasing, from PE to PE dash, for the same saturation state, the evaporation is ending at 1 dash, compression starts at 1 dash, proceeding to 2 dash. This is the 4 dash. Of course, here H3 dash and H4 dash are identical to H4 equal to H3, but this is the H1 dash. This is the H2 dash after compression. Now, if evaporator pressure is increasing, what is the new refrigeration effect? RE dash equal to H1 dash minus H4 dash. H4 dash and H4 dash and H4 both are identical. Since H1 dash is more than H1 H1, refrigeration effect increases by increasing the evaporator pressure. Come to the compression work. Compression work equal to H2 dash minus H1 dash. This H2 dash minus H1, this H2 dash minus H1 dash is less than H2 minus H1. Therefore, work required for compression decreases. Then what about the COP? COP equal to refrigeration effect by work required for compression. Because of the increase in evaporator pressure, the compression work is decreasing. Refrigeration effect increases. Therefore, COP increases. COP increases by increasing the evaporator pressure from PE to PE dash. Now let us go for the options. Let me read the problem. The effect of increase in evaporator pressure on the COP of vapor compression refrigeration system. What is happening? COP increases by increasing the evaporator pressure. Therefore, option is increasing. Option A itself is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly got my point. Let us take the next problem. Look at the 17th problem. Refrigerant used in lithium bromide vapor absorption refrigeration system is in lithium bromide VAR system. For lithium bromide VAR system, water is used as refrigerant. Water is used as refrigerant. Lithium bromide is used as absorbent. So problem is refrigerant used in lithium bromide VAR system is water. Therefore option D is absolutely correct. Let's go for the next problem. 18th problem is air refrigeration system works on Lenoir cycle? No. Bell-Coleman cycle? Absolutely correct. Let me write it. A Lenoir cycle is ideal for pulse jet engine. Pulse jet engine is a kind of jet propulsion system. Bell-Coleman cycle is also called reversed Brayton cycle. Reversed Brayton cycle or reversed Joule cycle. Reversed Joule cycle. Reversed Carnot cycle is the ideal cycle. Reversed Carnot cycle is the ideal refrigeration cycle. Ideal refrigeration cycle. Ideal refrigeration cycle. Carnot cycle is the ideal cycle for heat engine, whereas reversed Carnot cycle is the ideal cycle for refrigeration. Brayton cycle is the ideal cycle for gas turbine power plant. Brayton cycle is the ideal cycle Brayton cycle is the ideal cycle for gas turbine power plant. I hope you got my point. Answer is, so air refrigeration cycle works on Bell-Coleman cycle. Let's take the next problem. Look at the 19th problem. The value of COP in vapor compression cycle. Remember, the COP of vapor compression cycle always greater than 1. Always greater than unity. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. Even for our domestic refrigerator, COP of domestic refrigerator is also greater than 1. COP of domestic refrigerator is also greater than 1. Look at the last problem. The boiling point of ammonia, it is asked in 2009. The boiling point of ammonia is minus 33.3 degrees centigrade. Therefore, option C is absolutely correct. If you ask me boiling point and freezing point for different refrigerants, it is like this. You try to remember these values. For R11, boiling point is 23.77 degrees centigrade, and freezing point is minus 111. It is also in degree centigrade. Similarly, for other refrigerants, R12 boiling point is 29.80 degrees centigrade. R21 8.92 degrees centigrade. R30 39.80 degrees centigrade. R40 minus 23.7 degrees centigrade. R113 3.6 degrees centigrade. R717, that is ammonia, minus 33.3 degrees centigrade. R744 carbon dioxide, minus 73.6. Similarly, let us take the freezing points. Freezing point of R11 is minus 111 degrees centigrade. Come to the R12, R21, 30, 40, 113, ammonia, R744. R744 is the carbon dioxide. The 44 is the molecular weight of carbon dioxide. These two are R717 and R744. These are inorganic compounds. Inorganic compounds are kept in 700 series. That point already we have discussed. For R12, freezing point is minus 157.5 degrees centigrade. For R21, freezing point minus 135 degrees centigrade. For R30, it is minus 96.6 degrees centigrade. For R40, it is minus 97.5 degrees centigrade. For R113, it is minus 35. R717, minus 77.7. R744, minus 56.7. Try to remember these values. So these are the boiling points and freezing points of different refrigerants. Dear friends, I am concluding this video with this problem. I hope all the problems you understood clearly. You practice once again. In the ESET examination, the general trend is the questions are frequently repeating. That's why it is better to practice all the previous ESET exam questions in each and every subject. I am trying to provide almost all the problems which were given in different subjects like design of machine elements, thermodynamics, heat power engineering, IC engines, strength of material, refrigeration and air conditioning. So for all these subjects, one after other, I'm going to provide the solutions for the previous problems. Anyhow, thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel called GeoByte. Have a great day. Please don't forget to send all your doubts to the GeoByte to get the clear answers. Right? You can ask the questions not only in the R and AC but also in other subjects like strength of material, machine design. Machine design means design of machine elements, thermodynamics, IC engines, heat power engineering, engineering mechanics, etc. Anyhow, once again, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.
GeoByte.